If other mediums are better at bringing comic book stories to life, why then do we desire these stories in live action? If I had to guess, maybe seeing the heroes we admire in a world that looks like our own bridges a gap in our minds. If only for a short time we see our world as one in which we, too, could be heroes. When this movie came around in 2005, I had limited knowledge of Batman based on glimpses from various cartoons and cultural osmosis, so I wasn't super invested in the character yet. Also, the only promos I saw for this movie were toy commercials.
Crime never wins when Batman begins.
I understand that that's just how those commercials are, especially with toys being marketed primarily toward kids. It just reinforced a campier impression of Batman that didn't interest me at the time.
I watched The Dark Knight in theaters a few years later, and suffice to say, my views of the character changed. Skip ahead to 2012, I hyped myself up for The Dark Knight Rises by finally watching the first film in that trilogy. But in the many years since that first viewing, my impression of the movie has kind of glazed over.
I reviewed The Dark Knight Rises on this channel almost 12 years ago. Now, I'm going back to where Batman begins. I'm assuming many of you already know Batman's origin story, so I'll try to be quick.
Bruce Wayne, at the tender age of 8, loses his parents Thomas and Martha to a mugger with a gun as they're leaving a theater. The orphaned billionaire grows up training his body and mind to their peak. Supplementing his skills with tools and gadgets, Bruce fights for justice in Gotham City as the costumed vigilante, Batman.
This adaptation is faithful to that general premise while also doing a few things to give it a unique flavor.
The first act uses flashbacks of Bruce's childhood and early adulthood, cutting between that and the present day.
This approach gives the movie good pacing whether or not a viewer is already familiar with Batman.
Existing Batman fans don't have to slog through the entire childhood tragedy before getting a taste of the real story, while new viewers still get to see the origin story play out. I appreciate this efficient storytelling and also how the flashbacks highlight Bruce Wayne's driving principles.
With that said, I'll be covering the story more or less in chronological order.
While playing with his friend Rachel Dawes, a young Bruce Wayne falls down a well and gets swarmed by bats. This traumatic experience sets the stage for Bruce getting upset when he sees opera characters dressed in bat costumes.
Come on, go. Please.
This early exit puts the Wayne family in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Some credit to Thomas for trying to put Bruce at ease, but I don't know if that eerily calm expression was the right call.
Many years later, a grown-up Bruce attends a hearing in which his parents' murderer, Joe Chill, is given parole. Rachel, now one of Gotham's district attorneys, tries to talk Bruce out of going.
He shared a cell with Carmine Falcone. He learned things, and he will testify in exchange for early parole.
Rachel, this man killed my parents. I cannot let that pass.
Bruce stands ready to take revenge, but he's beaten to the punch.
Hey, Joe! Falcone says hi.
And then admonished by Rachel for his intentions.
Your father would be ashamed of you.
Harsh though that may be, take note of the messenger.
Rachel is actively fighting for justice in Gotham, even while crime lord Carmine Falcone is fostering its decay.
Falcone may not have killed your parents, Bruce. He's destroying everything that they stood for.
Hatred of guns is a staple of Batman's character, but there's a certain punch to him being ready to use one until Rachel's words prompt him to throw it away.
Marking a major step on Bruce's journey to becoming that vigilante.
The step after that, confronting Carmine Falcone.
Not everyone in Gotham's afraid of you.
Only those who know me, kid.
The following monologue is one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Falcone effortlessly breaks down Bruce's line of thinking.
You think you got nothing to lose, but you haven't thought it through. You haven't thought about your lady friend down in the DA's office. You haven't thought about your old butler. Bang!
Then shatters any ground he had left to stand on.
You're Bruce Wayne, the Prince of Gotham. You'd have to go 1,000 miles to meet someone who didn't know your name. This is a world you never understand, and you always fear. What you don't understand.
Major props to the writers, and the late Tom Wilkinson for that performance.
With new perspective, Bruce travels the world for 7 years to learn how criminals think, ultimately winding up in a prison where the inmates are not very fond of him.
Unfortunately for them, Bruce is a "you're trapped in here with me" kind of guy.
Bruce is greeted in solitary by a man way too formally dressed for a place like this.
My name is merely Ducard, but I speak for Raz Al Ghul, a man greatly feared by the criminal underworld.
Quick disclaimer, I know it's supposed to be Raish, but for the sake of consistency with the movie, I'm gonna use Raz.
Ducard offers Bruce an opportunity to join the League of Shadows.
If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, then you become something else entirely.
One flower up a mountain later, and Bruce's training begins.
You know how to fight 6 men. We can teach you how to engage 600. You know how to disappear. We can teach you to become truly invisible. Theatricality and deception are powerful agents. You must become more than just a man in the mind of your opponent.
Bruce is also encouraged to confront his past, namely the guilt he feels for the death of his parents.
It was my fault, Alfred. I made them interfere.
It was him, and him alone.
No disrespect to Alfred, he's very compassionate and wise, but somebody dropped the ball on getting this boy proper therapy.
Anger does not change the fact that your father failed to act. Training is nothing. The will is everything.
Be careful not to say that around a Star Wars fan. That hornet's nest is massive.
Ducard has a strong personal understanding of Bruce's pain.
That impossible anger strangling the grief. You catch yourself wishing the person you loved had never existed, so you'd be spared your pain.
My daughter hates me, Bruce. All because of that walking steroid she calls a boyfriend.
Last but not least, Bruce must confront his fear.
You fear your anger, the drive to do great or terrible things.
By inhaling fumes from the blue flowers, Bruce can train in an induced fear state.
To conquer fear, you must become fear.
A key aspect of Batman's mythos is turning fear against criminals that prey on the weak.
That's power you can't buy. That's the power of fear.
And while this approach is extremely literal, I can't deny that it's practical.
You cannot leave any sign.
I haven't.
But after passing his final test, Bruce declines the initiation ritual requiring him to execute a criminal.
Your compassion is a weakness your enemies will not share.
That's why it's so important. It separates us from them.
Despite taking many of their teachings to heart, there was clear foreshadowing for Bruce to diverge from the League of Shadows.
Rachel poisoned the idea of murder equaling justice.
Justice is about harmony. Revenge is about you making yourself feel better.
And Falcone called out his ignorance,
You've never tasted desperate.
which caused him to seek better understanding of the people Falcone exploits.
First time I stole so that I wouldn't starve. I lost many assumptions about the simple nature of right and wrong.
The League, on the other hand, oversimplifies criminality.
Crime cannot be tolerated. Criminals thrive on the indulgence of society's understanding. A criminal is not complicated.
And views executionary justice as the best tool for ridding the world of evil.
Top that off with Gotham being their crusade's next target.
The city has become a breeding ground for suffering and injustice, and must be allowed to die.
And that is the final spark that burns this bridge.
With a so long and thanks for all the ninja training, Bruce brings down the stronghold in explosive fashion. After rescuing an unconscious Ducard,
who's apparently knocked out by Bruce, something I never noticed until this viewing because it's blink and you miss it,
Bruce reunites with Alfred.
You've been gone 7 years.
You have me declared dead?
It was Mr. Earl. He's taking the company public. He wanted to liquidate your majority shareholding. Those shares are worth quite a bit of money.
And then delivers my other favorite bit of writing in this movie.
People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy, and I can't do that as Bruce Wayne. As a symbol, I can be incorruptible. I can be everlasting.
Despite the idea coming from Ducard, it's a great precursor to the birth of a superhero, and works particularly well when applied to Batman.
After finding a network of caves beneath Wayne Manor and symbolically confronting his fear, Bruce approaches current leadership at Wayne Enterprises, playing along to land a job in applied sciences.
I just want to get to know the company that my family built.
There he meets Lucius Fox, a former board member that supported Thomas Wayne's philanthropy.
You knew my father?
Oh yeah, helped him build his train.
And gave headaches to the current board.
Earl told me exactly what it was when he sent me down here. Dead end.
This will be Bruce's ticket to the gadgets he needs to operate as Batman, like his armored battlesuit, grappling gear, utility belt, special fabrics for the cape, and of course...
Well, the tumbler? Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that.
And while Fox can read between the lines,
I don't think they ever tried to market it to the billionaire spelunking base jumping ground.
he doesn't care to be a narc about it.
If you don't want to tell me exactly what you're doing, when I'm asked, I don't have to lie. But don't think of me as an idiot.
You know, it's hard enough to dislike Morgan Freeman, but I just love the sly sarcasm he brings to this part.
So what do you think?
Does it come in black?
Speaking of great casting choices, Gary Oldman plays Police Sergeant James Gordon, one of the few cops in Gotham that isn't corrupt.
Well, Jimbo, you don't take the taste. Makes us guys nervous.
I'm no rat. Who's that a rat to, anyway?
Remembering the comfort Gordon offered him when his parents died, Bruce decides to make him an ally.
Don't turn around.
Albeit not in the most welcoming manner.
Carmine Falcone brings in shipments of drugs every week. What will it take to bring him down?
Leverage on Judge Faden and a DA brave enough to prosecute.
Rachel Dawes.
Rachel has tried to prosecute Falcone and his thugs for years. Unfortunately, Arkham Asylum's chief administrator, Dr. Jonathan Crane, keeps vouching for their insanity pleas.
Prison is probably not the best environment for his rehabilitation.
And her boss discourages her for the sake of safety.
Because as much as I care about getting Falcone, I care more about you.
That's sweet.
And I guess he might also be your boyfriend. Spoiler alert, it doesn't amount to anything.
It's probably just there to complement this shot of Bruce looking like a sad puppy.
We've been through all that.
Crane meets with Falcone, and despite a minor squabble...
Maybe money isn't as interesting to me as favors.
You know who I'm working for. And when he gets here...
He's coming to Gotham.
That is correct, Commander.
They agree that Rachel needs to be dealt with. Inconveniently for them, that's the night Batman makes his debut.
What the hell are you? I'm Batman.
Mocking Christian Bale's Batman voice is a dead meme at this point, so I'll just say this. Compared to the sequels...
I'm not wearing hockey pads. You were excommunicated by a gang of psychopaths.
It may be hindsight, but it's more tolerable in this movie.
What's this?
Leverage.
For what?
To get things moving.
Who are you?
Someone like you. Someone who'll rattle the cages.
Alfred reminds Bruce that he can't vanish from public life, or else someone might connect the dots about him being Batman.
Strange injuries and non-existent social life. These things beg the question as to what exactly does Bruce Wayne do with his time and his money.
So Bruce covers his tracks through indirect slander.
Well, a guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
And making a fool of himself.
I'm buying this hotel and setting some new rules about the pool area.
So naturally, that's the moment he crosses paths with Rachel again. Rightfully embarrassed, Bruce tries to save face.
All this, I am more.
But it's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you.
Well, it has been 7 years. I suppose Bruce was overdue another nugget of life-changing advice.
While Rachel is convincing her boss to prosecute the mob, Crane is called in to assess Falcone, who attempts to blackmail him for a bigger piece of the operation.
I know you don't want the cops to take a closer look at the drugs they seized. I know about your experiments with the inmates of your nut house.
For those of you who tend to remember villains but not their civilian names, Jonathan Crane is Scarecrow.
They scream and they cry. Which is your day now? Well, he's not faking. Not that one.
And this is a pretty good first glimpse of what he can do.
Since only half of the drug shipment was accounted for when Falcone was taken in.
What about the other half?
Flash knows.
He won't talk.
Batman has a talk with Gordon's crooked partner.
Where were the other drugs going?
I don't know. I swear to God.
Swear to me!
Yeah, I know, eating my words. The voice is not subtle here, at all.
I never went to the drop-off point. It was in the Narrows.
Batman finds some of the smuggled drugs just before Crane and his goons show up to destroy the evidence.
Oh, having trouble. Take a seat. Have a drink. You need to lighten up.
Batman is forced to retreat. Wakes up 2 days later.
It's your birthday.
And has Fox to thank for the antidote to Scarecrow's toxin.
I felt these effects before. This was so much more potent.
I synthesized an antidote.
Could you make more?
This is a good bounce back from Batman's first major defeat, but the hits keep on coming.
Mr. Earl orders Fox to gather every document on a microwave emitter developed by Wayne Enterprises.
It was designed to vaporize an enemy's water supply. Rumor was they tested dispersing water-based chemical agents into the air. Did you lose one?
And then fires him.
Did you get the memo?
Wayne Enterprises is about to go public, so it makes sense he'd want those records destroyed in case this stolen tech is weaponized.
My only question is, does Earl think Fox wouldn't blow that whistle at the first opportunity?
The emitter is found in an extra shipping container discovered by Rachel's boss, unfortunately while in the company of dirty cops.
The hell was this?
When Rachel stops by to wish Bruce a happy birthday, he learns about her missing boss and that she's trying to get Falcone reevaluated.
Dr. Crane moved him to Arkham Asylum on suicide watch.
You're going to Arkham now. It's in the Narrows, Rachel.
You enjoy your party, Bruce. Some of us have work to do.
You be careful.
When she visits Arkham and confronts Crane,
I want my own psychiatric consultant to have full access to Falcone, including blood work.
he taunts her by revealing their operation.
This is where we make the medicine.
Before taking drastic action.
She hasn't got long. I give her a concentrated dose.
So Crane knows when he's giving a lethal dose, and yet...
He's here. Who? The Batman.
He doesn't think he killed Batman 2 days ago? I guess crazy recognizes crazy.
Anyway, round 2 goes to Batman, and Crane gets a taste of his own medicine.
Who are you working for? Ra's al Ghul is dead.
Crane's men call the cops to try and pin down Batman. Gordon charges in, and Batman brings him up to speed.
Crane's been smuggling his toxin hidden inside Falcone's drugs and then dumping it into the water supply.
Was he working for Falcone?
He meant it someone else. Someone worse.
Gordon sneaks Rachel out the back while Batman calls for reinforcements.
I do have to question whether it's typical of this many bats to live in such a densely populated city, but we all know that's not what this is about. This is about the aura farming.
I'll get my car.
I brought mine.
After the tumbler passes its first major field test, Batman cures Rachel and gives her 2 more vials of antidote.
You'll wake up back at home. When you do, get these to Gordon. One for Gordon to inoculate himself, the other for mass production.
Then he sedates her.
To protect the secret identity, I get it. This, on the other hand...
Little the worse for wear, I'm afraid.
Alfred didn't deserve that.
Bruce finally joins his birthday party, and Fox fills him in about the microwave emitter.
Water supply won't help you disperse an inhalant unless you have a microwave emitter powerful enough to vaporize all the water in the mains.
Despite this solid emergency preparation, time is not on their side.
Am I pronouncing this right? Mr. Ra's al Ghul?
Not only did she mispronounce the name, she failed to use this movie's designated mispronunciation. Truly stunning.
I watched him die.
But is Ra's al Ghul immortal? Are his methods supernatural?
Or cheap parlor tricks to conceal your true identity, Roz.
Fun fact, when the cast was announced, Ken Watanabe was credited as Ra's al Ghul, while Liam Neeson was simply Henry Ducard. Filmmakers believed that revealing him as a villain would be a major shock for audiences.
As a young Star Wars fan in 2005, yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn as a bad guy probably would have shaken my worldview a little bit.
But look at the beard they gave him. Comic book fans with discerning eyes may have caught on to this twist before the reveal.
If that happened to anyone watching this review, I genuinely hope that was a fun moment for you.
Bruce puts on the hat of a selfish jerk.
Two-faced friends, you sycophantic suck-ups who smile through your teeth at me, leave me in peace.
getting everybody out of his party safely except the League agents.
You are gonna release Crane's poison on the entire city.
Then watch Gotham tear itself apart through fear.
Yes, this plan is sufficiently wicked, but I've got a few more bones to pick about the League of Shadows belief system.
The League of Shadows has been a check against human corruption for thousands of years.
They claim they don't show mercy to criminals, but what did they do in Gotham?
Over the ages, our weapons have grown more sophisticated. With Gotham, we tried a new one, economics. Create enough hunger and everyone becomes a criminal. Their deaths galvanized the city into saving itself, and Gotham has limped on ever since.
They actively worked to weaken the city, allowing Falcone to become more powerful and making the city decay even faster.
If their hand on the scale makes things worse, they're not a check against human corruption, they're a catalyst for it.
If they could influence the economy to weaken Gotham, why not improve the economy instead? Do me one better. Why not discreetly cut out the source of corruption and give Gotham a real chance to heal?
Or can they only achieve that sense of self-importance by committing mass murder?
There are good people here.
You are defending a city so corrupt we have infiltrated every level of its infrastructure.
This city is a cesspool of criminality. Just look at all the crimes we've committed.
The League sets Wayne Manor ablaze and Bruce gets pinned under a beam.
You burned my house and left me for dead. Consider us even.
Bruce prevented you from sliding off a cliff and left you with someone who promised to tell you that he saved your life.
I warned you about compassion, Bruce.
No, that's consistent, actually. I have to give him that one.
Alfred returns in time to rescue Bruce and give him a pep talk.
What is the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?
Funny? Not what I meant.
Why do we force? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
As Rachel rushes an antidote to Gordon, Arkham's inmates are released en masse to draw the police, at which point Ra's al Ghul activates the microwave emitter and releases the toxin. Crane gets his kicks by cosplaying the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow, but it's pretty short-lived.
There's nothing to fear but fear itself. I'm here to help.
Ooh. I don't think that bag is gonna save his face.
Sold. The man in the cold sweat.
Oh. Never mind then.
After Batman loans the tumbler to Gordon and saves Rachel from the inmates,
You could die. At least tell me your name.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
the race to stop Ra's al Ghul is on. At first glance, Batman scaring civilians seemed counterproductive, but if people are paralyzed by fear when they see Batman, they can't tear each other apart the way the League wants them to. It also adds credibility to the idea that Batman is supposed to be scary. Batman has a short scuffle with Ra's on the train before revealing his counterattack.
You are just an ordinary man in a cape. That's why you couldn't fight injustice, and that's why you can't stop this train.
Consider to think about stopping it.
The train is headed for the central water mains at Wayne Tower.
If they get their machine into Wayne Station, it'll cause a chain reaction that'll vaporize the entire city's water supply.
So Gordon is tasked with collapsing the tracks.
Could you be just a little bit less gleeful about destroying your city's free public transit system?
If you finally learn to do what is necessary, I won't kill you. But I don't have to save you.
This doesn't technically break the no-killing rule, but Batman is often depicted saving his villains from peril, so it still feels kind of off. I know it's a train crash, but I don't see a body. Are we sure that he's actually... Okay, point taken.
The film winds down with Mr. Earl getting pushed out of Wayne Enterprises.
Company went public a week ago.
And I bought most of the shares. Through various charitable foundations and trusts and so forth.
Didn't you get the memo?
And Bruce having a bittersweet talk with Rachel.
I never stopped thinking about you. But then I found out about your mask. Your real face is the one that criminals now fear. Man I loved. He never came back at all.
Another tragic staple of Batman. A normal life will always take a backseat to the fight.
Maybe someday when Gotham no longer needs Batman, I'll see him again.
Lastly, we are given our first in-universe use of the bat signal.
You really started something. Bad cops running scared, hope on the streets.
And a tease for the sequel.
I never said thank you.
And you'll never have to.
So that was Batman Begins. Superhero films were on the rise when this first came out, but Christopher Nolan was already carving a unique path through that phenomenon.
This movie presented the ideologies, methods, and tools used by Batman and his rogues gallery in a more realistic fashion than their comic book counterparts. That's why we got Ra's al Ghul, but no Lazarus Pit, and this version of Scarecrow
You look like a man who takes himself too seriously.
instead of this one.
I'm a little torn on the idea of de-nerding a superhero film to make it appeal to more people, as if it needs to be grounded in reality to be worth watching and not considered kid stuff. To be fair though, Nolan's Batman films were not the first to exclude sillier elements of their source material.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Having said that, telling Batman stories in a real-world setting, separate from a larger pantheon of DC characters, actually works pretty well.
The actors did a great job bringing these characters to life in the style and tone of this adaptation. I also appreciate how the first act served as a solid foundation not just for Bruce's path to becoming Batman, but the rest of the story in general. The action is a mixed bag, relying way too heavily on close-ups and quick edits. But the Tumblr sequences were pretty cool.
There's nobody left to send it.
Oh, I'm on my own?
Lastly, solid foreshadowing presents a viewer with all of the clues they need to play World's Greatest Detective, and potentially see what's coming.
And although now I favor the style and tone of Batman stories told through animation in video games, it's worth remembering that adaptations can be a good means of introducing characters to a new audience.
I haven't thought about this in years, but The Dark Knight was the very first Batman movie I ever watched, and my first major nudge from having an awareness of the character to being a fan. And The Dark Knight would not exist without Batman Begins. It may not represent a definitive version of Batman for me, but it's a solid introduction to the character, and in general, a pretty cool movie.
And now, in the most classic tradition of comic book nerds, it is time to get pedantic about the plot holes.
Why didn't Crane think Batman was dead after their encounter? Crane lit Batman on fire. Pretty sure that counts as going for the kill. However, Gotham PD was hunting Batman, and finding his body would have been a page 1 headline. Since 2 days passed and that didn't happen, I think Crane could reason that Batman had survived. Why didn't the toxin in the water supply cause panicked hallucinations before the microwave emitter was used? Whether it's just the ground-up flour or Crane's highly concentrated medicine, the fear-inducing compound has to be breathed in. That's why people weren't affected simply by drinking the spiked water. The toxin couldn't be activated that way.
And thank goodness they couldn't vaporize the water in people's bodies, because that would add a whole new definition to paint the town red.
But if vapor is the key, couldn't steam release the toxin? For example, by boiling water or taking a hot shower.
To answer that, let's examine how the toxin was weaponized.
Crane's special mechanism allowed him to spray a concentrated dose at individual victims, while the microwave emitter vaporized massive amounts of water all at once, affecting large groups of people. I propose that these methods were harmful by design, whereas naturally occurring steam wouldn't release enough toxin to have an effect.
Can you imagine how wild this movie would get if that could happen?
That explains why my wife flipped out on spaghetti night.
I love the internet.
Eventually, we must awaken from the fantasy and face reality as it is. But although they may not look like Batman, there are heroes in our world. And with a little bit of courage, one of them could be you.